Hey guys, Mrs. Vance here. All right, so we are going to take our design and we're going to make sure it's tweaked just how we want it, and then we're going to start transferring to our styrofoam. So I think yesterday I told you that you didn't need your styrofoam for a while. I lied, you do need it today. So I'm going to take the design that I'm choosing. I'm going to choose this one because it was a little bit more unique. And I'm going to rip that out of my sketchbook. I'm going to kind of move my sketchbook out of the way, but I'm going to keep it as almost as like a pad for me today. And then I'm going to take the styrofoam and I am going to wrap this up once I am set with my design. But the first thing I want to do is look at my design and see if there's any tweaks I need to make sure, you know, did I fill it enough? Do I need to add anything? And so there was going to be like one more thing I was going to add over in this section here. So I'll add that in. And then I'm going to look and see if there's anything else that I need to do. Anywhere else needs a little bit of attention, a little bit more detail. I think I like that there. So we should be good. All right, so from here, I'm going to take my styrofoam and I'm going to take my paper. And I'm going to kind of hold it up so I can see through it a little bit. And that's going to help me line up my edges from where I traced originally. And then I'm going to kind of fold over the paper around the styrofoam. Okay. And so it's going to get a little bulky. So I'm going to use my tabletop to help me crease a little bit. And it won't be 100% perfect, but as long as you have at least two sides taped down, you should be good. Okay, and then once you get at least two sides kind of organized, then we're going to grab some tape. Any kind of tape will do. I have some masking tape on my table, so I'm going to grab some tape. I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to secure the paper to my styrofoam with some tape, like so. And if I wanted to, I could fold up all four sides, but really just two sides is plenty, enough to be able to hold in place and trace. Okay, so from there we're going to take a pencil or a pen. You can actually use either or. I'm going to grab, let's see, I got a pen up here. And sometimes you want to avoid a clicky pen, which is of course what I just grabbed, because clicky pens, when you press really hard, they're going to pop that click mechanism and they might break. So I've got a regular pencil and I've got a regular pen that has a cap, a regular ballpoint pen. You can use either one. It's really up to you. Okay, so what you're going to do is you are essentially going to push and trace into the foam as hard as you can. Some of you might have done this before, and some of you maybe not. So it doesn't matter where you start. It's completely up to you. But you want to make sure that you are pressing hard enough that you are hearing yourself kind of indent into the styrofoam. And I like to go back over everything right away to make sure I feel that indentation. The second time you go over it, it should feel a little smoother, a little better. When you go around curves, you got to go nice and slow at first. And then again, that second time around, you should be able to go a little bit faster and be able to like kind of clean up your line as you go. The reason why I like to use a pen is I can see where I've been. If I use a pencil, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to see where I've traced already and where I haven't. But I want to trace over everything. So as I'm tracing, what I'm essentially doing is carving into the styrofoam. And I don't want to press so hard that I carve all the way through the styrofoam, just the surface on one side. So if I flip it over on the other side, it should still look really clean. Okay? And as I'm carving, what I'm essentially doing is creating white space for when I go and print. So when I print this, anywhere where I have carved will now be white recessed space, and then you'll be able to color everything else. So I hope that makes sense. So everywhere where we're pressing down right now with a pen, when you go to print it, it's going to actually be white because this indented area won't touch the surface of your paper when you print. So when we color everything else in on the styrofoam, the white is going to remain because it is recessed. Recessed meaning it is pushed down. Okay? So again, go over everything twice. I like to go over it twice as I'm like repeating the same thing over and over versus doing everything and then doing everything again. I just think it's a lot more efficient and you can remember where you've been a little bit more. It is super important to go over it twice because you guys are going to tend to not press hard enough the first time. If you are pressing so hard that it feels like you can't control it, it does mean you're pressing too hard and you need to pull back a little bit because we don't want to carve all the way through the styrofoam. But what can happen is you can carve through the paper, which is what just happened. And that's totally fine. It will kind of reveal your styrofoam a little bit, which is okay too. We just don't want to push so hard that we are breaking all the way through the paper and the styrofoam as we are tracing. Okay? So again, I'm going over everything twice. I can hear that sort of slight tearing sound as I go. And then why did I keep my sketchbook out? Why am I using it? I'm using it like a pad, okay? Because when you're pressing, you are going to make indentations, and I don't want you to hurt like your kitchen table or your desk at home. So that's why I'm working with my sketchbook as like a pad. You could use a magazine. You could use anything else that you don't mind possibly getting some pen or pencil or indentations on. Okay, so I'm going to trace this middle section now. And I think you get the idea. The biggest thing I want you guys to know, though, is that when you trace, you cannot, I repeat, cannot take it off of the styrofoam until you know that you are 100% finished tracing every single thing, because you can't really match it back up. It won't line up right. So once you take the paper off, you have to pretty much be done at that point. So that would be a bad idea for me to take off my paper right now because I haven't done that whole second half. So I'm going to try to speed this up along so you can see what it looks like when I'm done. Again, take your time, especially with curves. Sometimes the styrofoam likes to kind of stick your pen and then it doesn't let you kind of slide along those curves as nicely, which is why I say don't press as hard the first time, and then if you can press harder a second time if needed, then that's when you do that. Going around the first time kind of being a little bit more gentle to get the pathway, and then that second time to really carve in your design. And again, totally normal to rip the paper. That's going to happen. And if it's not happening at all, you definitely might not be pressing hard enough. Doesn't mean that it has to be like torn to shreds. If you notice mine, I've only had a couple pieces come pop loose so far. Sorry if you can hear my mom's dog is here and she is whining in the background and barking at people outside. Because it's a nice day out and people are walking around here. All right, almost done. I'm going to get these last few spots done, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like when you are 100% finished so you can kind of check your work and make sure that you have indented everything enough. Okay, only a few more lines to go. I can't wait to see your guys' designs. I'm sure you guys were super creative with them. Double check that all of your designs, that you have some aspects that go all the way to the edge of your printing plate. That will make it more interesting than if all of your designs are floating in the middle. All right, so I am finished. So I have gone over everything I can tell because I used a blue pen after I used the pencil. And so now I'm going to carefully peel off my tape and unwrap my styrofoam gently. And this is what you should see. So you might see some pen that is snuck through. That's totally fine. It won't hurt anything at all. You can see all my indentations. I'll kind of curve the styrofoam. And what I would look for is anywhere that I feel like maybe didn't get indented enough or that I maybe rushed through. And then this is where I would go back and just kind of go over everything one more time just to get those nice smooth lines and clean anything up where it might be not indented quite as much as I'd want it to. Because again, if it's not indented enough, it's not going to print clearly. And we definitely want it to print these indentations nice and clearly. All right, so take the time to go back over and trace everything one last time once you've taken that paper off, because it really is just going to ensure that what you have is absolutely ready to go, ready to be colored and then printed. All right, guys, have a great day. You did great today.